Good morning, church, and welcome to Church Online. I'm Karen, and today I invite you to share in the hope, healing, and love of the gospel. If this is your first Sunday with us, you can hit the Connect link in the description to fill out our online Connect card. Once you fill that out, one of our leaders will follow up with you after the service. In March, we entered uncharted territory by having our first ever online-only service. A lot has happened since then, so what a better way to celebrate 2020 than with an online-only service. If anything stands out or speaks to you today, make sure you comment in the feed. If there is an opportunity to celebrate, hit the like button as many times as possible. Are you ready for what God has for us today? If so, let's go.
Sometimes it's moments of brokenness which create the greatest transformations. Times where fear gives birth to faith, pain leads to healing, and chaos dissolves into peace. It's in these times we often see God more clearly. For in our deepest turmoil, He remains faithful. When our spirit is crushed, He remains strong. When our moment is too heavy, He carries the burden. As gold is refined by fire, we too are often refined by struggle. It's part of growing, changing, becoming. Lately, the journey has been difficult. Our breath has been labored. Our steps uneasy. But we stand in faith, knowing who is leading us through this desert. The God of peace, the God of hope, the God of restoration.
Good morning, church. You know, when I look at something really close, it's hard to see what's happening around me. This past year, many days felt like that. You know, where I asked God, what are you doing? God, where are you? What are you up to? You know, feelings like yesterday feels like today. You know, when I look at maybe just today or the week ahead, I can get discouraged at times. But today we want to pull back and we want to look at everything God has done in 2020. Well, actually, it's going to be just a glimpse. If we shared everything God's done, we'd be here all day and then some. We want to give you, over this next minutes together, a little insight to show what happened in 2020. What are some of the cool things God has done? What happened in 2020? Here we go. You know, one of the greatest things about life in the local church is about seeing lives changed. That's really what it's all about. To see lives being transformed by Jesus. So let's begin there today. I want to share a quick conversation with Jason, whose life was changed here in 2020 at Rome Alliance Church by Jesus. Jason, why don't you just kind of give us a little timeline of some things that have been happening in your life? Give us, kind of where you're at, almost, whether it was a year ago or kind of the beginning of 2020, of where you're at in your life personally and kind of how that led into a spiritual transformation.
Yeah, so last March of 2019, I was getting ready to go overseas, and I went over actually in April and was over there for about 10 months. And time over there, I had just been going through a huge, rough personal spot. Personal relationship wasn't really working out. And things were rough, probably the lowest I've ever been in my life. And I grew up, in the Roman Catholic Church, was baptized and confirmed in the Catholic Church and everything, and kind of, became a self-thinking teenager and young adult and thought I knew better and kind of strayed away from the path of, Jesus and everything and the love of God. And something was something just during the rough times, I guess during the rough seas, you could say, is just something was calling me back. I listened to a lot of heavier Christian music, though. It's something I've always listened to and loved. A lot of bands I listen to preach the gospel and the love of Christ, which I actually like. And I just kept getting pulled back to this one band, August Burns Red, and something reminded me that their lead singer Jake had wrote a Christian devotional book called Mountains, which I had ended up ordering and got sent to me overseas, and found out that another singer for a band called Fit for a King, Ryan Kirby, also wrote a Christian devotional called The Embrace. And I ended up reading those, and they really spoke to me and connected, because in them, Jake talks about some personal issues that I was also going through as well in his, and it just helped me. Like I said, something was pulling me back, and it helped me come back to the love of Christ, and rekindling, I guess, and renewing my relationship with Jesus.
Yeah. So let's fast forward to you get back here from being overseas, and one of the first people, or maybe kind of newly first people you went to visit, was your neighbor, or your parents' neighbor, Jody Miola. And that conversation turned into what?
So yeah, I'd come home in January, and I had stopped over to see Jody, because my parents said, I grew up next to Bill and Jody Miola, and my parents had said they, had asked how I was doing and everything. And their son, Ryan, who I grew up with, was actually redoing my parents' bathroom. And I had said hi to him while I was overseas, while he was doing the bathroom. And on a video call, my parents were showing me the bathroom and how nice it was looking. And so I went over and talked to Jody, and she was like, you should come over to church with me. I told her, everything that was going on, just to catch up with Jody. And she brought me in and introduced me to you, who, I'd been to high school with you, and your father, who was the gym teacher. And if I can't describe it, I guess the best way to describe it is it just felt really comforting and welcoming when I first walked into Rome Alliance Church. I just, to be honest, I felt like I was home. I felt like I was at home. Yes, I was home back in the hometown, that I deployed from and stuff. So obviously I was home in that sense, but as soon as I walked in, I just had this smile. I don't know if you noticed that I couldn't really wipe from my face, and it just felt comforting and welcoming, and everyone was welcoming, and it felt home.
A couple weeks after, or a week or two after you came here, I know you and I got together for coffee at Dunkin' Donuts, and I remember, I think we met at it was 9 or 9:30, and by the time we left that conversation, I think I had to cancel everything off the rest of my books, because it was 1:30. We were in there forever. Sure. I just remember it was a great conversation. Just share some highlights of that.
Yeah. So we had gotten together for coffee, like you said, at Dunkin', and we just talked more about things that I had went through, and kind of, started doing, discipling and counseling with you to help work through some of those issues, I guess, that I had been, dealing with, and there were still residual things I was dealing with as I came home. And you had asked me, if I wanted to, take the journey and go into, fully committing to, Christ and being a follower, and just following the word of the gospel and everything that, just following everything. And so I said, yeah. And then I remember you said a prayer right there for me, which was nice and everything. And that's when I kind of made the commitment and been coming to church, and I bring the boys to church, and I have 3 boys, 3, 8, and 14. And the 2 younger ones love going downstairs and doing the kids thing, and they love learning. And my 14-year-old loves coming with me and just learning as well. And he's part of the youth group, and he loves, doing stuff with Pastor John and everything. So it's been a great journey so far, and I'm thankful for everything.
Yeah. What an amazing story. Jason is just one of the stories of lives being changed by Jesus. This year, worships looked different in a lot of different ways. Whether it was being shut down and figuring out ways to get worship, like Patty leading a Zoom worship night, and the team doing a great job of putting together some worship for our church online that we had. One of the great ones was our missionary partner, Kathy Ikes, and Pastor John doing a special. And so like many services, we begin with worship. Let's begin with some worship today. Let's continue to prepare our hearts as we see what God is going to reveal to us about what He's done this year. Take a look.
How great is our God. You're the name above all names. You are worthy of all praise. And my heart will sing, how great is our God. El nombre sin igual, eres digno de adorar. Todos ofertan cuán grande es Dios. Cuán grande es Dios. Cantemos cuán grande es Dios, y todos lo verán. Cuán grande es Dios.
Tako velike Bog, pjevajmo mu, velike Bog, nek cijela zemlja zna da velike Bog, nek cijela zemlja zna da velike Bog.
Another way we worship is through the giving of our tithes and our offerings. You know, after we reopened, giving looked a little bit different on Sunday mornings. In fact, when we were shut down, giving totally looked different. But did you know we grew tremendously in the area of giving in 2020? God worked through you as you were generous. We thank you for that. As a lot of the economy went in the other direction, we grew here. Isn't that amazing? I want to share some of the highlights of what God did this year through your giving.
Shelley, it's been quite a year for us in the finances at Rome Alliance Church. It's been a year of some changes, some challenges, and then there was COVID in the middle of all of it, and that really made things interesting. So change number one was that this is your first year to be the church treasurer. How did that go? What did God teach you in the course of this year?
I think it went very well. I'll tell you the main thing that I learned, and I've learned this throughout my life, but especially in this role, is that you don't need to worry about anything, that God has already gone ahead of you and prepared the way. So if you think you're not going to know anything, or you're not going to be prepared, or you're not going to know what to do, don't worry. He's got it covered. He's prepared a way, and you'll be fine. So that was the main lesson I've learned so far, and I'm sure there's a lot more to learn in the next few years.
Thought it would be particularly beneficial to share with folks some of the stats as to what's been accomplished this year. And it's been an exciting year in the finances of the church, and a year in which we can really see God's hand at work. And I don't know any other way to say it or to bring it up than to talk about we've seen God accomplish some amazing changes in the course of the year. So how did we do this year, Shelley?
We did very well. Just talking about our general fund, our operating fund, sometimes it's called. These figures are through the end of November, but compared to last year, we're up over 12% in the giving to the operating fund. And talking about how God prepared the way for me in this role. I think some of the uses for the money that we received this year, he prepared the way for the COVID COVID pandemic in our church. I mean, we did technology upgrades, the online giving, that was all in place before COVID hit, and that allowed us for people to still give, and for us to have church online and everything like that. Our online giving was up over 240%. So people could still give even when we were not in church. So it's pretty cool.
And also on the line, we've got Jesse Swinney. Jesse, you're one of the deacons, and you've had a big hand in working with the COVID fund. How did that go? Were you surprised at some of the things that took place? Tell us a little about your experience there.
I was surprised at how much we had given to the fund. It was quite a bit. And it's been used for many different things for some people in the church that need food, like say they're quarantining, or some of the various projects we have going on. So that was very interesting to me. I was glad to see that the project continued on even after, when it initially came around. It just kept on trucking along, just like COVID has. The community's help
And all we know to say is thank you for people's faithful giving.
Yes.
And as you noted, we had gifts that came in from people that aren't even part of the congregation. They're just part of the community, or people that live somewhere else, but were excited about what we were doing. What do you see ahead, Jesse? What might the next phase of COVID support or relief entail for the deacons?
Well, I like the idea of reaching out to people in the community that can't get out. Providing groceries, helping maybe some shut-ins, or people that are affected by COVID who need help, because not everybody has friends or family that can bring them food. I mean, you got to be locked up for 2 weeks. That's a long time.
Boy, what a cool way to be in touch and in connection with our community.
You heard about the COVID account. I want to share a video just sharing all the things we did with this COVID account money. Church, you can still continue to give to this account, because as COVID goes on, we're going to continue to find ways to be able to impact our local community. All you have to do is either online or through in-person giving, mark it COVID account, and it's still going to make an impact. Check out all the awesome ways we use this COVID account in 2020. That is one way we can pull back. Isn't it amazing to see everything that COVID accomplished? Through your generosity, but also by God giving us ideas and reaching people. Another way your money has made a huge impact is technology, especially with Church Online. Not to mention all the cool ways we were able to be flexible when it came to Church Online during the shutdown, but also now when we're reopened and how we can impact people through an online presence. Our Church Online has a large scope of influence in the lives of people. I want to show you a little timeline of where we've been to where we are now.
That your manifest presence will be made known to us, and that we would be changed from it. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. You may be seated. So we are wrapping up this morning our series that we've been to Exodus 20. We're going to go through verses 1 through 21. Again, if you have the notes in the app, you can jump on the scriptures in there as well. God spoke these words. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt and out of the land. So what he's saying here is first thing in the morning is I search for you, God. When you wake up, what do? What's your routine? It's a pattern and it's a cycle in our life to say, you know what, first thing when I wake up, I'm going to pursue God. That's what I'm going to do. If that means maybe I have to wake up 10 minutes early or 15 minutes early, he's saying early in the morning, I pursue you, God. I pursue Elohim early in the morning. And he says to the point of that there's a pursuit felt in my body or a strain or stretching. Oftentimes, we love the Christian life. I know I just want God to show up and I don't have to do any work.
Well, what a year it's been. But on behalf of Rome Alliance Church, we want to thank you, Pastor Bryce and Pastor John, for all of your efforts that you put in this year. The way that you continue to challenge us in our walks with Jesus. The way you challenge us as a church, as a body of believers, to continue to adapt and be flexible. And that's something that I saw with Pastor Bryce as we had to transition from in-person service to online earlier this year. As I saw Bryce demonstrate to us what it means to adapt. And not only do enough to make it work, but to put all of his abilities and efforts into it. What an example for us to live in our lives. And Pastor John creating content and relationship with our youth, pouring into them in so many different ways and leveraging his musical talents as well. So on behalf of Rome Alliance Church, Pastor John, Pastor Bryce, thank you.
John, tell me what it was like to get hired during a pandemic.
Yeah, it was very interesting, I'll tell you that. But I know that God called me to youth ministry. And so although there is a lot of uncertainties, or although when things were moving in a certain direction, things got put on halt because of COVID, I knew that God had still called me to youth ministry, and so I knew that if God wanted me here, he would be faithful and he would put me here no matter what happened.
Yeah, pretty cool thing. When God calls us to something, sometimes our timing isn't always exactly what we would want it to be, and things get in the way, but it's pretty interesting to see how even during this whole thing, the Lord has used it in cool ways that even during a pandemic where a lot of places and businesses are letting people go or furloughing, we're able to hire. Reverse economics in God's kingdom. John, talk to us about some of the ways you've been able to help spur on ministry here. One of the ways is kids ministry. Tell us about what you've been doing with kids ministry.
So this is something I've never done before, but actually I've been able to partner with your mom who does kids ministry and be able to kind of like create some characters for the kids ministry. So one of the characters was Mario from Paparoni's and owned a pizza shop, and from there be able to tie that into the gospel, into the Bible, and then teach the kids that way.
Yeah, one of the other ways John has been able to use this is by making the Bible verses into songs. And so what we want to do right now is we want to show you a clip of both a song he's put together and a clip of Mario.
Steadfast love of the Lord, steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come
see some lions, and I actually found some lions, but I want you guys to come with me. Can you guys come with me? Let's go check out some lions. There they are. There are the beautiful lions. Can you believe this? I mean, look at them. They're lions, 400 pounds, 4 feet tall. Look at how beautiful they are. Do you think they like Anani's secret sauce? Maybe I should make a pizza and throw a couple slices at them. I think they'll like it. It's not about lions. It's about God and about how great and awesome He is. In fact, do you remember the big question we keep on asking every single week? That's right. How can we obey God? And so as you listen to the story this week about Daniel with the lions in the lion's den, ask yourselves that question: how can we obey God? And the answer might surprise you.
So thanks to all those kids ministry workers during this time, to what John has done, to what Ida's done, what Callie has done with all the awesome packets that go out each week. If you want to see our virtual kids ministry, you can go to our website at Rome Alliance Church, and you can check out all the cool ways that each week kids ministry comes out. So thanks so much this year to the team and those who help and serve in kids ministry. We love you and we thank you for everything that you do. John, talk to us about youth ministry and give us just a couple cool highlights of things that happened this year.
Oh yeah, youth group has been great. We started off with a meet and greet back earlier in the year. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't think many people were going to show up because of COVID, but it was actually a really great time. We had some of our biggest numbers yet in terms of both parents and kids just hanging out. We got to be outside to be COVID safe. We got to have food together that was already pre-wrapped and everything. It was just a great time. We've been able to have the Zoom prayer events. We've been able to have the Jackbox events online just to kind of way to engage us when we're not meeting on youth group. In fact, youth group attendance has actually been pretty good. Just hanging out, just spending time, building relationships, but also just having serious conversations about God and how I can trust in God's sovereignty and His power, even in the midst of this crazy pandemic.
Cool. Share some testimony. So I think one of the cool things about youth ministry is how we get the youth involved with the church as a whole. And so it's great to see people like Hannah Clark, who helps out with check-in on Sunday mornings with kids ministry. Other youth group kids who serve in different ways. One of those kids that have served was Ian O'Toole. And so talk to us real quick about how Ian's got involved.
Yeah, so I actually was going over to the O'Toole's house and helping tutor Ian in Spanish, and from there we were able to build a relationship, but also with him coming to youth group, and I realized that he was good with technology, and from that he kind of expressed an interest in wanting to help in the back with sound, and so I was like, you know what, I think that'd be a really cool way to get him connected within the church and have like a multi-generational ministry happening here at Rome Alliance, and so I actually kind of put him in the back, and with me, and then also with your brother Jordan, kind of helping him. He's actually been able to do stuff on Sunday with slides.
Yeah, so what you see on Sunday morning when the videos click, the slide comes up, Ian's in back there. What a cool way to help. We just want to show you a quick clip of him sharing a little bit about his time back there.
So, Ian, ever since the COVID and everything hit like that, youth group has been started up and you've been a part of it again. And what's really cool is that I've heard and I've seen you on Sunday being part of the sound booth and helping out with the live stuff with the sound and all of that. Tell me how that's been.
It's been good.
It's been good. What about it has been good?
That I feel important.
You feel important. Feel important about what?
Helping out at
Helping
church.
out. So you feel like you're being part of the church?
Yes.
Yeah, man, what else? What else do you like about it?
That it helped me pay attention during services.
That's a good one because sometimes I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes I don't always pay attention. Sorry, Bryce. But that's awesome. So you've been having a good time with it so far.
Yes.
Awesome.
One of the coolest things during this pandemic is still new people walk through the doors of Rome Alliance Church. And even youth group, new people come. And so, John, tell us about one person and their story.
Yeah, so her name is Aria Thornton. She's been coming for a little while, her and her family, and so she's been new to youth group. But she has a really cool testimony, and I'd love to share a little bit of that with you. Aria, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very good.
That is so good to hear. The reason why I have you here is because I know you've been coming to youth group a little bit recently. You've been pretty new, but I want to hear, how has it been going for you?
It's been going very well, and I'm glad that I can make new friends and that we have fun.
Awesome. What are you looking forward to with youth group then as someone who's new?
Making a whole bunch more friends and learning more about the Bible.
Awesome.
What a cool testimony. Well, I'm wearing red because this is Pastor John's favorite color. I want to celebrate him today. I'm wearing sweatpants. I dress like a youth pastor again. Well, let's not kid too much. I dress like this all the time. John, it's been great having you here since July. And tell everyone who's engaging this morning, what is the greatest thing you've learned throughout this time?
Great question. The greatest thing that I have learned is that I cannot do this alone. I can't do any of this without Christ, without my relationship with Him, building with Him and the Holy Spirit. But I also can't do it with everyone here, the family at Rome Alliance Church, whether it's Bryce or whether it's people I see on a Sunday. I can't do it without everyone. We're a body. We're all coming together to share the hope, healing, and love of the gospel. And in order to reach everyone, every man, woman, child, it's going to take every man, woman, and child.
Really cool thing so far. Thanks so much for sharing. And again, thanks so much for joining us here as we journey together, as we invite others to share in the hope, healing, and love of the gospel. Another way we grew this year was in regards to global missions. To the great job Janice and Paula have done with Alliance Women, to a new partnership we're beginning. You know, the new partnership with the Griffins.
Good morning, Rome Alliance. We are the Griffins. I'm Matt.
I'm Jeanette.
I'm Naomi, and I'm 6. I'm Evie, and I'm 5. Hannah, I'm 2.
This is Hannah, and she's 2.
It's great to be with you this morning. We want to introduce ourselves and just share that we are international workers with the Christian and Missionary Alliance, serving with Access in Montevideo, Europe.
I don't know about you, but I'm excited to see where this partnership is going to go with the Griffins in the country of Uruguay. Another great partnership we have with Mark and Kathy Eichest. Church, you've impacted them in a great way. 2020 has been pretty cool. They've been living right here in our neck of the woods. It's been great to have them being a part of our church. And you impact them more than you'll ever realize. Here's one of the ways you impact them. It's been great having you, Mark and Kathy, with us these past couple of months. It's been great to have you here around more. And as partners, it's just been cool to have that partnership grow. And one of the ways we partner is through what we call the ICUS rent. And so that's one of the ways financially that we contribute to this partnership. And would you just let people know what impact does that make in your ministry with Rome Alliance Church partnering in that way?
Well, first of all, thank you. Knowing that you're going to be able to pay your rent is a big thing. And I think especially this year, with so many people having job insecurity and income insecurity, and I just heard a statistic this morning, 36% of Americans aren't able to pay their rent. And so we are very thankful, thankful to you guys, thankful to God that we can pay our rent and that we have a place to live, that we have a roof over our head, that we have heat, that we have, furniture and beds to sleep in and all of that stuff. And we thank you for that. It means a lot just for our on a basic level, for our well-being, for us personally. But also, it's great to have a place that we can have people over.
It's a great thing that you guys have decided to pick something specific to give to as part of our support. It's something concrete. I guess I would ask you, as you're giving to the Great Commission Fund, also pray for us that we have chances to witness to our landlords, because most times missionaries' landlords aren't believers. Kathy and I did have an experience where we had a landlord for 8 years who was a believer, and that was great, but oftentimes they're not. So just, pray for us that we would be able to be a good witness and be good tenants. But I have to say, in Bosnia, when you pay your rent on time, that's a good testimony. So we're able to do that. And so our landlords are thankful, and we're thankful to you for that, because you help us to have a better testimony in the country.
That's good.
Yeah. And this year, obviously this year is an unusual year because we're in the States, but normally we use our home quite a bit for ministry, whether it's having friends and neighbors over, people that we want to witness to, people we want to build relationships with, whether we're hosting a home group. This year we've been using it a bit to connect with some people from the church, but also with my family who are in the area. And it's been great to have a little bit larger place where we can host my family for different things and reconnect with them in a neutral kind of atmosphere. Not all of them are, walking with the Lord right now. So it's great to have a kind of a low key setting where we can just connect as family.
Mhm.
And that's been really great. And we're very thankful for that.
No, it's cool. So what I hear in this is that when we partner in this way financially through your rent, it really frees you up to do ministry. And as I know, it also frees up other aspects of areas of budget and things like that. So you're able to do ministry more effectively. What a great thing we've been able to be a part of in 2020. Moving forward, I want to challenge us into one more step with the ICISTs. We have been partnering with them for their ICIST rent, and you've heard some of the things and the impact it's made. Going into 2021, I want to challenge us that we would give $100 a month as a church in missions towards church planting with the ICISTs. This is one of their big initiatives that they work on in Bosnia. This is a great way to partner with them in really a different way in what they do in helping to plant churches and working with church plants in the country of Bosnia-Herzegovina. You might already give to the Great Commission Fund. And did you know when you give to the ICOS rent, or give to even the Griffins, it's still going into the Great Commission Fund. And so I'm asking, maybe it's something to consider. You give to the Great Commission Fund, and maybe you can think about, okay, I can take some of the money I give to the Great Commission Fund, and I'm simply just going to give that to ICOS church planting. That's one way where we can still make a direct impact, and we're still giving to the Great Commission Fund. We're going to talk more about that moving forward. But God birthed that this year, in 2020, is a way for us to move forward in partnership. Church, I'm so excited to see how God continues to move us forward as we're present with global missions. You might be asking yourself, where's discipleship in this? Well, here we are. You know it's a vital part of what we do. That we follow Jesus together by using His Word to experience life change. One of the things that began in 2020 was beyond the status quo. It looks something like this. Where someone brings 3 questions from the previous Sunday's sermon. We use these throughout the week, and we've encouraged and challenged each other that we need to be doing this one-on-one. This year, we've seen a lot of one-on-one discipling relationships take place. We might continue to go there. Who are you in a discipleship relationship with? If you're not in one with someone, reach out to somebody. Talk to a pastor or an elder and find ways to reach and meet together one-on-one and use these questions to disciple one another. Another way discipleship happens is through our D groups or our discipleship groups. These are groups that meet, again, to follow Jesus together, using the Word to experience life change. Here's a little glimpse of some of the impact it's had in the lives of people here at Rome Alliance Church this year.
Well, I've got 4 good friends sitting here as we think about what God has been doing in the area of discipleship in Rome Alliance Church in the last year. So let me ask each of you, what discipleship groups did you participate in during this COVID year? And maybe what was a big takeaway you got from it?
I participated in the reading of the book of Acts that we did earlier this year. Pastor Bryce did one on praying Jesus' way, which was virtual. And then we recently concluded a men's D group beyond football and the weather. And really the takeaway that we took away from that was we focus on accountability, counseling, encouragement, and mentorship. And really what we saw was, and what we experienced through the dialogue, which is how critical that is for any believer, and particularly how we need to do that more often with each other. So what we saw in the group as far as life change was, I think there are opportunities for one another for encouragement that maybe wouldn't have happened outside of the group. And we also saw, which was really cool, one of the men lead one of the groups and just did a spectacular job. So we got to see, different people involved in different ways.
Cool. Somebody else.
Yes, I was involved with 2 spring to summer studies with Steph on the book of or the I ams in the book of John, and then the Facing Our Fears, and also ladies' Bible study. I found that that was very encouraging, any of these studies, to have the fellowship of at least being connected somehow with others that are studying the same thing, and also being involved with different people that we have never studied before, and seeing them grow and learn to share.
I participated in two, in Jesse Swinney's D group after church, and that was, I think, in the spring or summer maybe, that would have been.
It was kind of in the winter.
In the last winter, so that I think that was 2020 though.
Yeah.
Anyway, either way, I participated in that one, and then now and then was in the young adult group that has continued. And takeaway from Jesse's was, I don't know, I just enjoyed being with a wide variety and different ages of people, and then the young adult group is just the fellowship we have between similar age and similar minded people. So that's fun too.
Great.
Okay, and I had a couple different groups. We had a Sunday evening group that Bryce led on how to read the Bible with someone. And we had a few ladies get together to practice doing that. And we met for a number of weeks, and the idea was we were practicing and we took turns leading. So everybody had a turn at that. And then COVID happened and we stopped meeting, but that was pretty good. So we were applying the method that we had learned. Also Bible study. I had to go back to 2019 because we did 2 Timothy, which is all about discipling. And we had two goals presented to us. One was to become a mighty servant of God, and the other to ramp up our effectiveness. And as we had COVID kind of stop everything and we had to regroup and how can we start Bible study again, we knew we were going to have smaller groups, which meant more leaders. And we had ladies that had been in the 2 Timothy study step up and become more effective as they said yes to leading. So we saw growth in leadership and people saying yes and committing, and it's been really good. And also the groups we've gone like from 8 people at a table to 3. And we find that there's deeper engagement and also more transparency, and the discussions go deeper. And like if somebody has a question, there's really time to explore it. Whereas when you're 8 in a group, you have to keep moving along. So the small groups have been quite beneficial.
Kind of a cool result, not an intended one, but a cool result nonetheless.
Church, none of this would be possible without you. Yes, we know we have a God who is the one who leads and brings all things together as Christ is the head of the church. But we're called to be a body. And I thank you for being that. As Paul in Philippians thanks people for being partners in the gospel, I thank you for being a partner in the gospel in 2020. You know, there's been many manpower hours that have gone into things. There's been many ways that you've been creative, and a lot of your time and energy and your talents have gone into this year. So I thank you. It's amazing to see your love for the church, your love for the community. So I thank you. In fact, I have some others that want to thank you as well.
As an elder here at Rome Alliance Church, I want to take just a moment to say thank you for all those who have served in any capacity here at Rome Alliance Church this year. There's been plenty of challenges, plenty of hurdles, but you've stayed faithful. And we want to just recognize that and say thank you for your commitment to the Lord and to our church family and for all that you've done this year.
What a year to serve in God's kingdom. Thank you so much for your countless hours behind the scenes, your creativity, and the ways that you've grown and stretched yourself in the year 2020.
Thank you to everyone at Rome Alliance Church who's made 2020 possible in spite of all of the complications of COVID. Really appreciate all the work that's been done behind the scenes. God bless.
Thanks. A small word, a single word, but a heartfelt word for a lot of volunteers who put in a lot of time in the Rome Alliance Church. Thanks.
Church, thank you. Thank you so much for just allowing me to be a part of your family this year. I have just learned so much, and the way that you guys have just been a body to come together to pursue Jesus has been absolutely amazing, and God has done marvelous things that just absolutely blow my mind. So church, thank you. Thank you for serving. Thank you for welcoming me, and thank you for continuing to share with others the hope, healing, and love of the gospel.
Church, I know this year hasn't been like any other year we've experienced together, right? Like, I didn't even know what this was when the year began. But I thank you for your resiliency in moving forward together as a body, for serving, for loving each other well, for caring for the community. It's an honor for myself and my family to serve here with you, amongst you, and I continue to look forward to what God is going to do as we glorify Him, follow Jesus, and invite others to share in the hope, healing, and love of the gospel.
Can you believe all that God has done this year? It's amazing to see all the ways that God has worked this past year. I'm not sure what 2021 has in store, but what I do know is that Jesus will lead His church, and we will continue to be amazed by what He will do and how He will use each one of us. Thanks for joining us today for one final Church Online. Next week, we return in-person services, and of course you can continue to join us online as we continue to invite others to share in the hope, healing, and love of the gospel.